the Mueller report has a glaring omission, and I want to talk about it because the omission is so glaring, it brings the rest of the report into question. Meaning, the fact that you can get something like this wrong, it raises questions about what else in this 400 and some odd page report have you completely gotten wrong. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is Soapbox After Dark. And yeah, let's talk about the Mueller report. So John Solomon has been doing amazing journalism involving the Mueller report. And he brings out something that people, I think, have missed, maybe because they weren't necessarily focused all that much on the Mueller report in so much as trying to get Donald Trump. But there's a glaring omission in the Mueller report. Now, I would say there are a few. I'm not talking to Assange is one. That's my own pet peeve. My thought is, if you're trying to get to the bottom of the Russian hacking of the election, as they call it, then maybe you should talk to the person who was supposedly at the center of that, Assange. He wasn't going anywhere. He was in the UK. Not getting your hands on the servers. Another number two. Again, something that people completely ignore, but why is that not a big deal? You're saying that something took place. You're saying these servers were part of that process, and you're going by information that you get from a firm that the Democratic Party is essentially paying. But okay. But once you get past that stuff and you get to the report itself, there's still another glaring omission that John Solomon points out. It has to do with somebody that Mueller brings up early in the report called Kilimnik. Kilimnik is supposedly a Russian asset. That's the way that he's cast in the Mueller report. Right here. And a key finding of the Mueller report, Ukrainian businessman Kilimnik, who worked for the Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, is tied to the Russian intelligence. Now, right here. Mueller's overall the incomplete portrayal of Kilimnik is so important to Mueller's overall narrative that it's raised in the opening of this report. The FBI assesses Kilimnik to have ties to the Russian intelligence. Let's flip to this. Russian intelligence. Mueller's team wrote on page 6, putting a sinister light on every contact Kilimnik had with Manafort, the former Trump campaign chairman. Now, what's the problem with this? The problem with this is that going all the way back to 2018, Mueller had hundreds of pages of government documents with special counsel describing Kilimnik as a sensitive intelligence source for the United States State Department, who informed on Ukrainian and Russian matters. You must understand, he was so sensitive as a source that they didn't even want to mention his name during communication about him. He was reporting on matters dealing with the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian opposition party. And he was giving that information twice a week, sometimes more, outside of the embassy, again, because they didn't want to tip anybody's hand that this guy was an asset of ours. He was an asset of ours. Did he not know that? Did Mueller not know that? Was this a situation that Mueller wrote this report all of this time, the last 3 years of our life, engulfed? And Mueller, Saint Mueller, was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to get this straight. All hell, Mueller bowing upon Mueller, kneeling, our knees bleeding down for Mueller to give his proclamation on what took place over these last X number of years. All of these people being indicted, this guy being squeezed, that guy being squeezed, having cops raid Stone's house, and nobody raid his house. And this is the report. And you have this glaring omission in the report that you're saying that somebody is a Russian asset when the guy was clearly, at least by the information, hundreds, voluminous pages of information showing that the guy was not a Russian asset, but in fact, he was a U.S. asset. That's astonishing. That's astonishing. Solomon has pointed this out. And Solomon is doing, again, amazing work on this from the Hill. But why doesn't this call into question the rest of the report? I'm asking a serious question here. If the Mueller report has this glaring of an omission, both things can't be true. I suppose he could be a double agent, but in this case, he seemed to be clearly in our pocket. He seems to be a sensitive component to the narrative that Mueller is crafting. And that narrative has to some degree fallen apart the moment that this guy becomes a U.S. asset as opposed to a Russian asset. That needs to be very clearly understood. So there's another part to this. The sinister spin that Mueller continues to put on stuff and it not essentially lying by omission. For example, a peace plan. There was a peace plan that was provided. Let's see. A reliable insider. Bi-weekly, occasionally more, right? All right, so right here. The emails also show how misleading by omission the Mueller report's public portrayal of Kilimnik's turns out to be. For instance, the report makes a big deal about Kilimnik's meeting with Manafort August 2016 at the Trump Tower in New York. By that time, Manafort had served as Trump's campaign chairman for several months, but was about to resign because of growing controversy around the millions of dollars Manafort accepted as a foreign lobbyist for Yanukovych's party. Specifically, the Manafort report flagged Kilimnik's delivery of a peace plan to the Trump campaign by settling the 2-year-old Crimean conflict between Russia and the Ukraine. Here's the catch, and right here. Kilimnik requested the meeting to deliver in person a peace plan for the Ukrainian. Manafort acknowledged the special counsel's office was a backdoor way for Russia to control part of the eastern Ukraine, the Mueller report stated. What the Mueller report did not state was that the Obama administration was also handed a peace plan for the exact same thing. But state emails show Kilimnik first delivered his version of the peace plan in 2016 to Obama during a visit to Washington. I guess the point is, A, you're misleading from the standpoint of who this person is. Like, it is a drastic difference between this guy is a state asset that is important to us, vitally important to us, in giving us information on the Ukrainian party itself, that particular party, the opposition party in Ukraine, and matters that he gets across involving Russia, versus he's a Russian asset. Those just seem to be different to me. Again, I suppose he could be a double agent, but in this case, it seems that he's a vital, very important person in the context of our needs, an asset for us. The report cast him as a Russian agent. That's all. All right. So, and the last point again, the omission stuff. I mean, casting this thing of a peace process in order for Russia to be able to get some kind of favor, missing the point that this was also cast to Obama in 2016. I suppose nobody cares about these omissions. I suppose no one cares about these omissions. I care about these omissions. I mean, our life was engulfed for the last 3 years in this notion of Trump and Russia. And being engulfed in all of this time for Trump and Russia, Barr comes out saying he wants to investigate the origins of the report. I say, yes, you should investigate the origins of how all of this started. I think it's a big deal how all of this started. It's possible you could have taken down a presidency on this. Yes, do so. But at this moment, now, all of those people who are on board for the Mueller to do the investigation are not on board to figure out how our lives were engulfed in this notion of Trump and Russia. And whether or not there was an overstepping of the powers of the authorities involved in this process. I mean, there was a honeypot spying on the President of the United States. Let's be very clear what we're talking about. I'm going to end this. I don't want to keep this one long. I am not going to have a lot of time to do videos tomorrow, so I'm getting these out of the way now. And this was something that kind of came across my radar. John Solomon is kicking ass. So shout out to him on the Hill with these articles. And I'll end this here. If you guys enjoy the content, Please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.